Morning, everybody. Great to see everyone again, and welcome people who are here present with us. Unfortunately, those on Zoom won't be able to see them, just our panel. I'm really looking forward to this today, and we've got I'll let Sam do the introductions of our illustrious panel here. And I just want to say thank you for the forward business for helping us set this up today. So over to you, Sam, on introductions, and we'll get started. Thank you.
Sorry, welcome down. I'm back again. So I just wanted to say we have a panel that have joined us today, which is absolutely fantastic. Over here we've got Liz Barkley, who is a small business commissioner, so it's great that she can join us today. Obviously, the topic of today is to talk about business and to talk about the challenges that they're facing. Obviously, there are many in the current climate, but particularly championing late payments. So she's going to be focused on how, as a small business, you can ensure you aren't caught up in late payments. She's going to talk about insights and give some advice in that particular area. Have Sarah Palmer, who is CEO of the IAB. She is also founder of her own account practice in accounts. Sarah is going to be talking about the financial professional, whether it be a bookkeeper or an accountant within a small business. It's often deemed that an accountant or a bookkeeper is a little bit luxury if you're a small business owner, but we'll talk overall broadly about how a financial professional can drive efficiency through business, but also to make sure that if you do work with a financial professional, that they are regulated, which is a topic in the IAB that we're extremely passionate about.
Step closer to the mic, please.
Sorry, step behind there. And finally, we have Mohammed Gralia. He is our IAB Accountant of the Year, so he can join us on the panel. And Mohammed is going to talk about some on-the-ground experience and on-the-ground insight that he's had with his own clients. So working with many businesses, how he has helped them in terms of first working with those who've never had exposure to an accountant or a bookkeeper before, and also any late payment challenges he has met with his clients as well, which hopefully will spark quite a few questions in the room, also online. So I'll leave you, Liz, to kick off. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you to Sam and to Jack for inviting me here in the first place. I think we might have a remote chair. We're trying to be very hard to stick to that. I'm not famous for that. So I don't try. You need to shut up. The Office of Small Business Commissioner was set up under the Enterprise Act 2016. And its primary aim is to change, is to change the payment culture in the UK. Now, I think that's predicated on an assumption that there is a culture that rewards paying late. But what is late to me? For me, the questions that I'm asking since I took over the role in July last year is, what do we actually mean by late payments? Are they late as in invoices in payment is overdue, or are they long and slow as in the person who's been providing the goods or the service, the supplier, has been offered long terms in we are finding is more of the extended payment terms than we are finding necessarily the late payments. Now, there is work going on at the moment, there is research going on at the moment, because I have said I need to know what the problem is I'm trying to solve, and not a lot of accurate data. So there is a project going on at the moment to look at whether or not payments and the average payment terms and the average days to pay have actually improved or not. And early suggestions are that about 10 years ago, the average days to pay were 22, and now they're 36. Now, a lot of that is down to technology, and everybody in this room understands that there are all the tools that can be applied. There's the cloud accounting software companies, also digital tools that small businesses can use in order to do the invoicing for them and get the invoices paid. And that, to a huge extent, has got to be part of the reason that the average payment days has fallen. There's the other question then about how do we change the perception that it's okay to say, I will pay you in 60 days time, 90 days time, 120 days. I can believe you me, I've actually 300 days payment term. Yes, I see somebody in the back room. Yes, and there are two things that I am trying to drive here. And one is understanding within the small business community that they are the suppliers of the talent that's driving the success of a bigger customer. Therefore, they need to have the confidence to push back those long payment terms and to get the bigger business to understand that if you don't look after your supply chain, the small guy at this end is going to be there the next time you have goods or services. So I'm looking at it from both of those angles, and I'm also saying to the tech companies in the middle, you're doing a great job, but there are as much that you could be doing to have the whole journey from offer of work through to payment of invoice for those small businesses. Now, when I talk about small businesses, I need to do, because it's my remit, talk about businesses with fewer than 50 employees. But I am talking about freelancers, and I've been a freelance most of my career. I've been a freelance journalist, mostly in personal finance, small business and consumer affairs, mostly with BBC, mostly radio, but I've trodden on all sorts of other bits of that, including making 60 small business programs for BBC Two. So I have got a passion for small businesses, and I am talking about freelancers, I'm talking about sole traders, I'm talking about micro business as well as the small. What I'm not talking about is the medium-sized businesses. I'm not talking about SMEs, and I'm on a one-person to get rid of the SME tag because I think it's one of the handy ponds into which everybody gets lumped, and then it allows policymakers to make policy for the bigger businesses. Doesn't actually include smaller businesses. So I think we need to disaggregate as much as possible. So I am trying to get smaller businesses to understand you are the talent and you have the right to negotiate. It's scary because you're dependent on the work in order to pay your bills. And let's face it, we've got a cost of living crisis going on. And we have a cost of doing business crisis going on. And they are two separate things, but quite often the same part in both of them. Because if you can't afford to pay your business bills, you can't afford to take, you can't pay your electricity bill at home. So what I am trying to do is say to people who are desperate to accept that piece of work, hang on a minute, check what the payment terms are first. That is really difficult. You've got to be extremely brave. But there are freelancers throughout the pandemic who are now telling me that they work in the manufacturing sector, and they are saying, you have a reputation for not paying time or not paying quickly, and I'm not taking this work from you. And the manufacturers are saying, we've got to do something about it because the talent is not going to work for us. We've got to get that side to understand. We've got to get the big guys to understand that if you want, and they did this during the pandemic, they shifted paying in 6 days to paying in, from paying in 50 to paying in 15, even down to 7. We've even had to call up companies and say, we're paying late. And they've said to us, but we promised to pay the same day. Yeah, hang on a minute, you can't pay the same day. You might be able to pay within 24 hours, but that's the next day, and that's you're paying late. So can you just promise to pay in a week and still within 24 hours and you won't be paying late? You're through. But if it can be done then, it can be done now. And we are starting to see extended payment stretching out, and we're starting to see us getting ever so slightly later with payments. We don't want to do that, because now more than anything, we need to get that money that you owed for the job that you have done into your pockets in order to pay the electricity bill, because otherwise you ain't going to be there the next time they need you. So that's where I'm coming from. However, in 2019, research showed that 47% of invoices went in with the S on them. Now, here's a communication problem. There's a big communication gap between the small businesses taking their on, doing the job really well, slapping in an invoice, never ask, do I need a PO number? Do I need this? Do I need that? What information do you need to make this invoice payable? And the big guys then saying there are mistakes on the invoices, let's just put them in the in tray where they'll languish for 30 days. You'll have to resubmit, you're already 30 days late then you've got to go through another week to get paid. We need the big guys to tell their small suppliers at the outset, this is what an invoice looks like as far as we're concerned. I've worked freelance all my life, I may have had 6 clients at a time. I need to know what each of those 6 clients need on their invoices in order to get it right. I can't do that by invoices. I need contact. I need who to talk to, and it isn't the person who's giving me the work. And that's what people don't understand. Small businesses don't understand the payment department when a big business works. The payment department of the business doesn't understand small business because they've come in from school, university, wherever, into a corporate or into a medium-sized business. Never run a small business as being freelance. It's not anybody's fault in the main, and I don't think there's a culture as such, but it has transpired. You wouldn't walk into the butcher and order your Christmas turkey and say, I'll pick up on Christmas Eve and I'll pay you at Easter. But we have allowed this to grow up around our businesses. We need to know how to get people paid more quickly in order that they can invest, they can do the training, they can grow their business. The government needs growth, and we absolutely get the growth agenda. But it needs to start with the small businesses. We need the big businesses to pay the small businesses to give them the confidence to do the growing. The small businesses in the UK with fewer than 50 employees are 50% growth. They employ 50% of the workforce. They are 75% of the nation, at least in this country. And as such, they are too big to fail. I therefore, and I'm going to hand over to Sarah because they need the help of everybody in this room. They need the bookkeepers, they need the accountants, they need the strategic advice that comes with that, and they need, as I've just talked to Chris about, the technical comes with that, so that when the accounts do go to HMRC, there are mistakes, they're not in danger of being fined for not paying enough on their annual accounts, etc. We all need to pull together to help small businesses to get these things right. If you don't get paid on time, by the way, see me, I've got a team who are on standby to help you. If you're in payment dispute with your bigger customer, you can't get through that dispute, we will give you advice. So you can point them to me if need be, and I've talked far too long. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. There's much in that which I'd love to take shortly too. I'm also we need to move the mic, sorry. I'm sort of conscious where we've got 2 audiences here today, business owners, our members, bookkeepers and accountants too. I would absolutely say have a perfect storm brewing, and you need to be on top of your finances. A lot of our bookkeepers and accountants can really help you navigate that storm. We've got interest rates rising, we've got staff shortages, we've got disrupted supply chains, we've got a government that's changing legislation quickly again, and those factors need to be navigated well. I've seen too many businesses still in distress, post-COVID, post-Brexit. We've got a war on our doorstep. There's so much disruption, and you need somebody, business owner, you need somebody in your corner to support you with your finances and really understand and navigate all these problems with you. As I said, I've got my own practice too, and what I'm seeing with our array of clients there is that apart from just the work that we're doing, which shouldn't be underestimated, that's important, what we're also starting to become really integral part of people's businesses. So, for instance, the control, this is actually quite a really, really big piece. So we're spending a lot of time in supporting business owners, making sure that this list doesn't extend, really trying to get in those debtors. And as you said, the expertise really brings to ensure that all our invoices are presented correctly. We bridge that gap too, and really support business owners in that space. There's many things we're doing that we are becoming introducing efficiencies into businesses, predominantly software, and advising around that in terms of taking money and negotiating terms with banks, or advising which credit facilities to use. So again, huge savings to business owners and a lot of support in that space. It's campus now. We're obviously doing forecasting and budgets. And I think actually most of our members that are listening to are also becoming to our I'm getting some nodding heads around the room. But it can't, it's a much wider remit than just the compliance. And Emily, if I just give an example as well with the change legislation, we've got all the payroll, all the NI rates changed back in July. So from last Friday, we've got notice up by the 6th of November, we've got to change it back. And so from a business owner's perspective, you've got enough on your plate having to worry about implementing all those technical changes in your business. So again, it's not we can keep through legislation changes, make sure that you're compliant in your business too. I think so when I just talk about having someone good in your business, I think what I would really like to bring to attention is that what the IAB are doing at the moment as well is that we're doing an awful lot of things with government as well to actually regulate the industry. I think there's a huge perception that accountants and bookkeepers is a regulated industry, and it's not. So the term accountant and the term bookkeeper is not protected. Absolutely anybody set up in business tomorrow and called as an accountant, and that is quite frightening, especially from a business owner perspective. And from our members, that there's this, there's people operating in the industry. I think there's a general perception in society that it is this industry, and I think this is why successive governments have done nothing about this. So, currently, the stats we're talking about is between 35 and 40% of people offering financial services to the public are unregulated. They're operating outside of any. There's rules for the business owner. So, I would give an example. I mean, in my practice, we get phone calls weekly from business owners approaching us saying, we've had somebody do our books, they've disappeared, they've made a mess, they've left, this horrendous, what can you do now? And I don't hear that just from in business, or members are kind of reporting exactly the same thing. But what's quite difficult, I think, for business owners, that they know where to go. They can't, we've got financial, he's not really making a big difference at the moment. So what I would recommend is that if you are a business owner, make sure whoever is providing your financial services is with a professional body like the IAB. And that actually means, if I get it from our perspective, from the IAB, if you're an IAB member, you do DDS checks, you'll be insured, you'll be qualified. There's and also the business owner's perspective, if you do have a problem, you've got a body to report any problems. And obviously we've got mechanisms internally to bring those people to account. But just so that's my take is, as a business owner, go back whoever is supporting you with your finances, just ask them the simple question, which professional body are you registered with? And that would also cover their anti-money laundering supervision too. You're dealing with a bona fide organisation. So, thank you. It's over to you. Do you want to give some examples of
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. There's many different things that I would say this. I mean, both Liz and Sarah pointed out, and I just want to say things that I've really added to the industry, and I tried my best to help clients. I mean, one of the things that we're going to touch on is that with the payment side, and I know a lot of people have said, "Oh, my payments are late. What do I do? This, that, the other." It is difficult, and going back to what we were saying earlier, that we do professional therapists and business owners. So one of the things I tend to do is I say to my clients, look, instead of you coming to me feeling like you're going to be in a prison cell, you're getting interrogated under a microphone, or I come to you and I'm a bit open is what I see. Let's be at a coffee shop, let's go sit down, let's have a coffee, let's have a cake, now sit down, hands on your mind. And it just eases them in that, oh, wait a minute, I'm not talking to like a PI, I'm talking to a person they open up a lot more, they relax better. And it's just saying that, Mohammed, late payment, how do I go about it? People are paying on time, what do I do? I'll say to them, okay, terms. And again, go back to what you said in this week, people 30, 60 days plus, I said to them, have you considered emailing or phoning? And I say, share it, get it from 60, 30 days, 30, 15 days even. That way your cash flow improves, their cash flow improves. Granted, not everyone will do it, but the ones that will do it will be a smaller people. So if you have, instead of having 2 people paying 10 grand a pop, you might get 8 people paying 4 grand a pop. You know, maximum that to improve that cash flow. And the other part is if you've got, I would say, a medium business to what you're getting, what you're saying is just your 6-figure people that turn in excess of 100 grand to whatever it could be, up to the employees or to the audit threshold, like all it. Anyone in that position, let's say to them, I considered it for financing, but really about what Ross said, the only problem in finance that I'm like a bit skeptical about is the payment to the invoice finance company. Because if you have the invoice finance company with the bank saying that, oh, wait a minute, our charges are exceptionally high because we need to make ends meet simply because of this rates and charges, it might not work. But again, going to the first point where you're reducing terms and helping people. And I think that we really think about it, maybe that cash flow potentially boost the money and in essence of late payments on both sides, on your both your credit and your debit. Maybe something we're thinking about.
Question, do you find that a lot of your clients that you deal with actually don't specify their payment terms enough or make it very clear to who they're sending their invoices to exactly how long?
I find with clients, it's not the same is that where people will have the invoice with a mistake or we've had various issues, like as again, what I said, Janet, that people have that put in place or a contract put in place. Now, I think before any work is undertaken or any contract is undertaken, always ask, what are your terms? Don't be shy because you are the business owner. You make decisions on these livelihoods that, am I going to keep this person? Am I not going to keep this person on? What's wrong with your own livelihood? Why be too vulnerable? I try and put that to them that, what are your terms? You'll be surprised what you get.
Yeah, that's what I'm also finding is we're doing a lot of negotiating on that clients too. So,
I actually think it's important to get it in writing. And a lot of small firms say they do ask and they get told, oh, it's our standard terms.
yeah,
So they then don't ask, what do you mean by standard terms? What are your standard terms? So quite often what we discover is we get a phone call or an email, somebody who is saying, I'm owed X thousand pounds, signed a contract. No, I haven't signed a contract. Is there anything in the term conditions about when you're paid? No, there isn't. And nothing has been writing. So we say, well, if there's been no discussion of terms, then the default 30 days should apply. However, we then go to the bigger business says, of course we discuss payments. We told them standard terms. What are your standard terms? 90 days. So in effect, you've extended 90 days without realizing you've done that. And if you don't get it in writing, then in the middle, it's a very, very difficult dispute resolve. So we'd always say, negotiate the terms, get it in writing. However, the big problem comes back to the point that the small business feels that the bigger business has all the power, and therefore they ask the question because they're worried. And I know because I've been that freelancer who's gone, way, it's a life-changing piece of work. I'm going to take it. And then you get to the end, you deliver it and you go, oh, who do I send the ins to? Well, you don't send it to me. I might have given you the work, but I'm not the person to send it to. Oh, who do I send it to? Oh, when are you going to pay me? Oh, we've never had a discussion about it. I've been there, I made all the mistakes. I've made mistakes in the invoices. I've asked the questions. I've lost money as a result of it. So there was a piece of research earlier on there that showed tradesmen are likely to lose £1,000 a year because of that approach. And that's a lot of money. And we need to see that in the hands of the small businesses in order to get the growth that the government is really looking for. And I think that we've got a bit challenging as small businesses. And that's hard. It's very brave. And you have to be brave to do this as well, because the same problem arises when you think they'll never give me any more work.
Yeah, that is very, very true. Very true. So, have we any questions?
No, Elaine agrees with you though, and also says to ask for certificates about regulations and people being regulated by a professional body.
All right.
To ask to see certificates and proof. And then Jennifer has sent a message to Mohammed saying, thank you, Mohammed. This is such helpful information for everyone, and it's a real pleasure to see you on the panel today. And I'd like to echo that as well. So, hello, Mohammed.
Just to pick up on that other bit, and I said you should check your finance person is with a professional body. As a professional, we always issue certificates. So there is evidence, as the business owner, you can actually see a physical piece of evidence, and the professional bodies will do the same. So
I'm gradually aware that it is annual. Yes, that they the certificate is issued annually, and then with the professional body and the practicing certificate, which means they're regulated for absolutely auction.
The IAB practicing certificate actually has an expiry date on it.
Yeah.
On the wall behind my desk.
I think one thing we mentioned about contracts, that's seeming quite frequently, is you may have a contract, they sign it, send it off, but the number of companies that do not then get the signed contract back. So when you come into dispute, all you've got is your own signature on it and not a signature from the customer. I think it's also important to get that signature from the customer. Manage contracts to make sure you've got them in place for the first time on both parties.
yeah, that's a good advice for you to clear that. Yeah.
You talked just you talked about in terms of the challenging times that we're in at the minute. I suppose, how can small businesses, financial professionals work together? So the national insurance, for example, everyone's just got the headline changes that happened earlier this year, changes that are kind of coming in now. We know those changes. Is there any advice that you give to both sides potentially in terms of how you manage that, how you manage the process that?
So if I talk from having practice, I suppose I make sure that all the staff that are working for me are trained, and we've had team meetings straight away as to understand what the implications are. We also, from a practical point of view, spoken to our software providers as well, because actually there is an issue with actually the software that we use to run the payroll actually ready in time for the sick member. So there's already what we're also doing is just preparing a notice to all our clients to say that, well, that's the legislation paid, you may not be able to deliver on that. So if there's any changes to payroll you haven't been able to correct in November, we'll be picking up in December. So just making that expectation. Because I mean, 6 weeks, is it? And then on Friday, so we're almost, it's supposed to be implementing it. Every second. So internally, we've obviously had to spend some time. But again, it takes resource. So we've had team meetings, paying people for training, and when you absorb a certain amount of that, ultimately going to be a knock-on effect to put the price to be able to deliver the service that you need to. I think just as business owners, we're all aware of follow the financial news, and just making sure that you stay abreast of those and you have that dialogue with whoever providing that support, just to make sure that it's on. But I mean, there's some good changes in some respects. I mean, I think for small business fees to be reduced, that's possibly a positive. And the NI, the employees have no burden too. I don't know, it's quite a controversial matter on Friday. Just what happens next.
I suppose, the thing that Duncan just pointed out there is the contracts, and with every good intention you set out a contract and don't get it, returned. I suppose for both sides, the processes and or maybe even tactics that you may try and deploy to get paid, and it's really not a list that we can tick off it all going to work. But I know from our members' side, the level of data that is held by a council or maybe even by a small business owner people, the data is very valuable in terms of resources and what are the, I suppose, GDPR or restrictions, but what are people writing that?
Right. Okay, so I think really important point there. And so this comes back to cloud software and actually who owns data within the cloud software. So what often happens, and the software companies probably encourage this, is that whoever's providing the financial service pays subscription. And by default, there's almost an understanding that that financial person will actually own that data. And often, what I've experienced and working with our members as well, is that if there's an end of a relationship, so a business owner wants to move away to a different financial provider, and there may be an outstanding debt, and maybe in dispute, it's not having work being done, that the current bookkeeper accountant is not handing over the subscription to the incoming accountant or bookkeeper, and this obviously that data is vital, and in terms of often this being, I suppose, people using it as hostage, and the business owner is now left, maybe about due, maybe other submissions that need made through that particular software, and it's just very normal that they're understanding that. So this is the dynamic, and it's getting more and more prevalent. First thing, for clarity, what there is happening is that the data in that in the software, the cloud package you've got, does belong to the business. So I suppose that's part GDPR, because the data within that software is owned by the business that funds any outstanding bill. There is already a business in place for chasing debt. So if you are accounting, or there's already this whole or due to our subscription over that is not it's becoming more prevalent, it's something that's coming out more often as your actually these questions it's becoming prevalent, just that's how it works.
Just saying thank you, but just echoing what you said here, particularly from a small business point of view. I left big business in 1997, set up my own small business, and compliance and regulation and change was happening a lot then, nothing compared to the way it is now. And one of the bits of feedback is that small businesses do feel isolated, particularly at the moment. There's so much pressure, so many things happening. Sure, it's the same for an accountant or any kind of small business. 3 things that I did. First of all was join the forum. Shameless sales pitch, but you've got a support team. All of a sudden I had a support team to ask general stuff about GDPR and things like that. So getting there are communities out there you can join, get be part of those, you'll get support. Second bit of great advice I was given was to get an accountant or a anybody can sign up on these, you get a piece of software now and you're missing the point. That accountant or bookkeeper is part of your business, will help you, will give you support. I've given my best advice through working with with my accountants that help me point in that direction. It just saves me money. It saves me time doing things. It was a great bit of treat the business. Do big businesses do. Write a set of terms and conditions and put them out there. Do what they do. And that helps in a big way well. So I'd say those things. And I at one stage in business very nearly went under. One client, one very large client in the drinks industry who will remain nameless, and didn't mean there's 120, forget it was nearly a year. And it was only 35 grand for a small business. That very nearly put me out of business. We really did struggle for a year. I wish that they had a small business commissioner around at the time, because one thing I would say to anybody that's put in this room, Liz is there to help, and the team is there to help. If she can't write to someone or approach them, her and the team will be able to give you advice as how to solve this and solve it quickly. And I know it because they chose one particular again, who are based in America, and because they all have got a reputation to protect as well. Big deal about this reputations at the moment. The CEO came over from America to try and resolve things, and chased up a lot of money. So 3 things there, part of community, an accountable bookkeeper, being valuable, they're part of your business. Don't just invest in pieces of software. And the other one is Liz is there to help every business out there. Not sure, you'd rather hear from you, and she'll find, even if she can still post you, she'll help you. So hopefully that just paints a bit of a picture of my experiences of it. And for listening to me waffle on. Yeah.
How do we contact you, Liz?
Yeah, can I just add, yes, you contact me through the Small Business Commissioner website. Easy, just Google Small Business Commissioner or other search engines available. But can I just add to that? We also administer something called prompt payment code, and a signatory to the prompt payment code is committing paying all 90% of all invoices within 60 days, but at least 95% of invoices to small businesses within 30 days. If you're going to do business with somebody, check to see if they're a PPC signatory, and also the biggest companies in the country have to report to BAYS on their payment performance, and BAYS holds that data and it is publicly available. So again, you can check to see what their performance is like. If you're about to take a piece of work with somebody you haven't worked with before, and also your credit reference agency do a job telling you whether or not companies are good payers. So do as much as you due diligence if you can. I would say, yes, Ian's right. We give as much advice as we possibly can, even if it's outside our remit. We'll be able to help you to a certain extent. One thing I just absolutely believe is that communication is the key to this. Most big businesses don't understand how small business work, and I'll give you finally an example. On Friday afternoon, and this wasn't me. It was before I was the Small Business Commissioner. On a Friday afternoon, a woman phoned and said, I have nothing with which to feed the children over the weekend. Now, we've got more businesses in that situation now than we did then. Let's be realistic. She said, I've been owed 300 quid by this company for weeks, and they have promised me for weeks and weeks and weeks, we will pay this week, we'll pay this week, we'll pay this week. Probably nobody's fault. It's 300 quid. It doesn't matter. We've got much bigger fish to fry. We've got much bigger invoices to pay. So the team phoned the company, got the CFO. The CFO went, well, it's only 300 quid. The caseworker said, look, it doesn't matter how much it is. The point is, this is a small business, and for that small business, it might as well be 300 grand. It is that important. And there is no money to feed the kids over the week. And the CFO said, you know what, in all my time as a CFO in a big company, I have never realised how important 300 quid could be to a small business. Give me her details. I will pay it myself in my personal account, and I'll sort it out on Monday. We need to get the communication right, because if we don't tell the stories, it's not going to get anybody where it matters. We've got to tell the stories. I need to hear from you so that I can get out to the people who really need to hear them.
Wow, this story.
It's all relevant though, isn't it? Because if you don't have it, then £300, £10 can be an awful lot of money if you don't have it.
Mm.
But if you've got thousands, it's nothing. It's, yeah, fully agree.
Absolutely. Any questions? They're all quiet.
Everyone's quiet on Zoom as well today.
The gentleman talked earlier about long payment as opposed to not being paid on time, the company's on 60 days. One thing that I would help a small business, I think, is for HMRC to change their payment terms 30 days after the end of the quarter. It is not good. You've got 3 months in the quarter, or last month was a lot of sales. Suddenly, all those bills aren't going to be paid in 30 days, they're going to be paid in 60 days. I can't be towards the VAT, and the money's not there. 60 days would go even if it means not going on to monthly VAT on 60 days, even if that's a soft rate, I'll say, but do it. 60 days, 30 days at the end of the quarter is quite clever for some small businesses.
I agree, and I do know that HMRC is fully aware of that. And HMRC itself has been struggling to get the right people with the skills. We haven't talked about skills, and of course that's one of the biggest issues at the moment for not just small businesses but government departments, etc. as well. And that's not to make an excuse, but yes, these things are on the agenda.
And I'd like to say also in our another role that we're finding ourselves in is more time negotiation terms for business owners with HMRC, extending those timelines to pay. But also just picking up that point, the advice whether cash or accrual VAT can make a big difference to cash flow too. So again, that's advice that your bookkeeper and accountant can support just to try and take the pressure off meeting some of those deadlines.
I mean, yeah, there's no lot of people. And look at us and think, oh my God, it's the police. I've had that perception a lot in people, but I've had to really, in my coffee, my clients actually had to advise them that I'm not a spy, they're not the police, they're also agents, just helping one another. And so I've tried to educate people in a manner of speaking to say, we're all here to help one another. And once they start their head around, okay, I can talk to Mohammed, I'm frightened to talk to HMRC, he can talk on my behalf as my agent. And you'd be surprised how cooperative HMRC are. Actually talk to and advise and explain. It can really make a difference. And sometimes like payment terms, although can be something against you, can also help you as well. It gives you a bit of time to think. Once that pressure's off your head, it's amazing how you can be able to plan your business and really, really thrive.
That's a really important thing to pick up though. There's a lot of business owners that are panicking and they don't feel that they're scary. I think it's a good use of finance really big friendly face, and we bridge that capacity. And like I say, HMRC, they watch you. So if you disappear, that would make it mad. If you go, I've got a problem, I'm going to present you with a sensible solution to how I'm going to deal with that.
Yeah,
they are absolutely fantastic, and especially through I have to say, we do absolutely brilliant with sending those payment terms.
definitely.
They're closing out to get past negotiate, but again,
It's getting harder to get through on the phone as well.
yes.
But once you get through, yeah, they're very helpful.
But yes, it is.
I mean, if I may, one thing I have actually noticed at times with people's behavior, and something that I think it's quite useful now that we can actually go face to face and actually go out and see a client, because one of the clients actually owns a takeaway, and when he hits his head in the sand, all he does is make food, and he just does not think about all the repercussions around it. But if I go and see him and say, I like a pizza, let's chat, how are you coping? How are you? then they slowly come out of the shell, they open up, and then you just make the notes. I say to them, give me your order book, give me a sheet of paper, give me a pen, I'll write it down on Monday, I'll give it. And you'll be surprised how much they feel better. Stop becoming this. You could actually work with them and really help them grow.
Yeah, I would say I still have peace of mind.
Yeah,
That's actually the product, that's me.
Getting hard to get through. Do you think they've got a shortage of skill set in market? So, or that?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we were talking about sales,
Yeah.
actually. So, and really, the big challenge this is growing at the moment is actually having sales staff. I think is the biggest barrier to growth problem in tax at the moment. So, I've got clubs that are closing lunch sessions because they can't get staff or closing early. That is the real problem. Is that your experience too?
Yeah, I think it's number one, no, number two on the list, because I think the cost of doing business is definitely part of the list. But skills is more than the top of the list, or the energy bills went through the roof. Skills definitely. A lot of people would grow that way out of the reserves back after COVID, etc., and not being able to hire skills. Part of the problem, of course, is if you don't get paid quick enough, you can't compete on the market for the skills, but you can't pay the wages that somebody's going to get elsewhere. And so for small businesses to compete with the bigger businesses with the deep pockets is really difficult as well. But equally, if you were able to grow your skills in-house, you're not going to do that and take the risk of doing that if you're not getting paid on top. Fundamentally, the key issue is getting customers to pay you faster. We reckon, and this is a bit of a back of the envelope calculation, that if the small businesses in the UK were paid 1 week faster, so let's say average payment days is 36, if they were paid 30 on average, we'd be seeing £10 billion more sitting in the hands of the small businesses. Now, think what you could do with that. And then if it was 21 days instead of 30 days, if it was 14 days instead of, you're talking about a lot more money in the hands at any one point in time of those businesses on invoice financing or supply chain finance or the bigger businesses even, that you would then into investing in that training, growing your own skills. Not just that, but equipment and anything else that it takes in order to grow. And actually, you might even get yourself an accountant or a bookkeeper, which would be a very good step in the first way to spend your money.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Any more questions that you'd like to ask anything, Hannah?
Have we got any questions from the online, Caroline?
No, I'm just going to put in the chat if anybody has questions.
One of our members is a very small business, and I think the answers the question, and then work or supply a larger business, where a small business has their payment, and a large business has a fixed or 90-day payment, and like I say, they struggling, and they didn't realise that they have to abide by the large business terms. They don't. No. How will they know about it?
They agreed somewhere along that line of conversation, communication, or lack of it, to accept the bigger business. This is what smaller businesses always feel. They're bigger, they've got all the power. Therefore, we have to go with their payment terms, but actually you can negotiate your payment terms. The smaller business, but we feel we don't have the power to do that. We feel scared to push back against that. So we accept it and then realize that, a big gap in the middle and you don't get the cash flow. Let me give you an example. There's a guy we do quite a lot of work with, James, who told me around about a year ago that he used to get paid on average in 66 days. And he was perfectly he could do that. He could manage his cash flow. He knew when he was going to get paid, when everybody was going to pay him. A customer came up, great piece of work. He did the usual bit. Yeah, it's life-changing. I'm going to take this piece of work, blah, blah, blah. And then asked the question, payment terms. They said 120 days. He said, I looked at my cash flow and I thought, if I wait to do this work, I won't be able to do any more work for whatever, whoever. I will be bust at 96th day or whatever it happened to be. He said, I took courage in my hand. I went back and I said, I can't take this piece of work. And this James, we want to work with you. He said, well, you're going to have to pay me in 30 days then. They said, 30 days? Nobody's ever asked us to pay in 30 days. What planet? So they went back, they checked up with their payment department. They said, they came back and they said, our processes will not allow you to be paid in 30 days. It's just the way it works. It won't work that way. Can you in 45 days? Would that work? And he accepted the 45-day payment term. Now, because he gained the confidence from doing that, he puts payment terms on. He does accept longer payment terms than that. He gets paid an average 25 days. His business is growing. He has taken over another small business this year with just one person. You know, we're talking really small micro business here. But he's grown because he got brave enough. He said it wasn't a matter of bravery. It was a matter of being real. I was in a business had I taken on that piece of work, and actually saving yourself time. Because you're saying, okay, I can't do the 120 days. I'm going to go out there and look for better payers. The better payers are paying faster and you're having to chase your invoices. And you're saving time when you're not chasing invoices. And you can put that in planning. And that's how it works. It's bravery. You've got to do planning. And most businesses really feel all the power sits with your business.
That works okay. That works okay. If the product you're offering is a unique product.
Yes.
If your competitors are all bigger businesses and they have to accept then
And that is the worry. That is worry. That is why people just accept it. But in this cost of living situation, more and more people are realizing that they have power too in this game. And even though there is a lot of competition, if you're not measuring at any stage along the way, that competition is going to go bust too. It swings and roundabouts. Somehow or other, got to get confident small businesses to really understand their value. There's a lack of respect for business in this country. And shut up and go on all day. And the outcome and the results. But we've got to believe in ourselves and talk ourselves up too, and push back as much as possible.
I feel like you need high five.
Jennifer on Zoom says some very great advice here. Thank you everyone for today.
That's lovely. I really hope that everybody enjoyed it on Zoom as well as the people in the room. And I'm sure we'll do another one probably how it's all gone to work. I really like to say a big thank you to everybody, and thank you Liz, Sarah and Mohammed, and thank you again to Ian for all of our businesses. And don't forget, small businesses, micro businesses, you're really important, really valued. Do not undervalue yourself. And if you haven't got a bookkeeper or an accountant, or you're maybe your own payroll, follow on social media. Like if you see a legislation change, we put it out there on our social. Anything that changes, so you can see and you'll think, oh yeah, that applies to that doesn't apply to me. But if you follow it, looking, and it's same for following the forum as well. It's really important to me that you'll see any updates there, and then if you need help, then get in contact. If you are looking for a bookkeeper or an accountant, then we have a find bookkeeper on our website. There's no obligation, it's just there for you to look and make your own decisions about who you take on. But make sure whoever you take on, make sure they're qualified and make sure they're a professional body. It might be sort of there with HMRC, see with anti-money laundering, but see where they got the qualification, because there's no guarantee that they have. And they can make the mistakes when they're supposed to be helping you. I'm sure they know what they're doing.
There's quite a bit of love now coming through on Zoom. Thank you, got really good information from Elaine. Joyce says it's been great, thank you. Elaine says, great to see everyone. Big shout out to our ambassador Mohammed, very well done. Andy says, thank you for the session today. And then Elaine says, terrible sound though, lots of echoing, quite hard to follow.
On sound.
Thank you for persevering though, when we're on Zoom.
Next time.
Watch it on YouTube.
Hopefully.
Thanks everybody. Bye.
Brilliant.
Bye.